do is just to lay a bit of foundation about building wealth. One of the blessings of my career is that in our business, we get to see personal finance of a lot of people. Our business is our business is a financial technology company, and we manage wealth on behalf of financial advisors for their clients. So one of the beautiful things that we see is how people build wealth over time in this country. So what I want to do is I want to just share some bit of stats, bits of information about wealth. And maybe there will be a bit of lessons for us to pick from that. And we can have an opportunity for questions and answers and conversations. So here's a question for you. When we use this word, wealth, someone is rich, what do we mean? What do we mean by wealth and being rich? It's not an hypothetical question, it's one that I expect. Do you have thoughts? Any thoughts in the room?
I think rich is the money they have, while wealth, like continuous income, even when they are sleeping, the money is still coming. Yeah.
Okay, say that again. Wealth is continuous income when they're still sleeping?
Even when they're still sleeping, like the money keeps generating. Yeah.
Okay, good. I like that. Anyone else? So there is asset, just to Elder Dippo's point, there is asset that generates income, even when they're no longer working, or when they're not working, when they're sleeping. Anyone else?
My thoughts would be around you can meet your needs comfortably and also meet the needs of others.
I like that. So you can meet your needs comfortably and meet the needs of others. Anyone else? What comes to your mind when we think about wealth, being wealthy? Security, I like that. Security. Okay.
Financial freedom.
But yes, I like that. You're giving me big in grammar now. Financial freedom. What does it mean? Financial freedom.
Maybe your assets working for you.
You be able to do anything you want to do. I like that. That's good. Do anything you want to do. Okay. It's interesting the way that we describe wealth. We describe the use of it. To be able to do anything you want to do. None of us is sitting here and thinking about wealth and thinking about it in terms of how much money is sitting in your bank account. You describe wealth as having assets that generate income even when you're not actively working. There is description of wealth as financial security. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is, have you heard that saying? Along the lines of, some people are so poor, all they have is money. Money is only useful when it's being used. Money is only useful when it meets your needs, your goal, your aspiration, when it's doing some good in the world. So, if we lay that as foundation, let's talk about what money actually means in this country. So I want to show you a bit of stats. So this is from the ONS. This is called Wealth in Great Britain. And it breaks down financial assets or wealth, breaks down financial wealth into different type of assets that people have. And it also breaks it down into what we call percentiles. So the idea of percentile is, if you put 100 people in the room, the top 10 wealthiest people in the room will be the top decile. So if you put let me catch that. If you put 100 people in the room, the richest person in the room is the first percentile. So that's what they say 1%. The 1% is the richest one person in the room. And then the 10th, the 10th richest person in the room will be the top decile of wealth. Then you go to the next 10, that will be the 9th decile of wealth. Okay, so this is just a breakdown of wealth. So in the UK, the top 1 percentile, let's call them, in the UK, as a household, this is household, have a net worth of about 3.5 million. So if you go back to Elder Dikwa's point, if they took all of their assets and sum up all of their assets and remove, let's just give a big round of applause to our So this is about household net worth. They take all of the assets, all of the assets of a household, and you sum it together, and you subtract all of the debt of that household. The figure that you get is the net worth. So the top 1% of wealth in the UK of households in the UK, this is have 3.5 million pounds. Of that, 1.4 million is sitting in their property. 1.3 million is sitting in their pensions. 640,000 pounds is sitting in financial assets. So this will be their ISAs, their investment accounts, and then you see that tiny little one? That is their physical assets. This is their cars, their TV, their, So when you see that guy driving a Lamborghini, now that in itself is not a definition of wealth. Right? It's not. Because even if that guy owns the Lamborghini, I can tell you 99.9% of time, he doesn't own the Lamborghini. In other words, it's either a lease or, maybe a company car, maybe a PCB. That thing doesn't feature in his or her financial assets. When you go to the top 10% of wealth, so then you see 620,000 is the value of the property. So this is when you deduct the mortgage from the value of the property. So this is net property value. And then the couple is sitting on 620,000 in pension assets, about 200,000 in financial assets. Now, what you find here is that the top 30% of wealth in this country have one thing in common. They have more pension and financial assets than they do property. So they have more wealth in their pension and their financial assets and their investments than they do in property. And they have way more money in those 3 assets than they have in physical assets. Then that starts to change. Can you just slide up? Don't go to the next slide. Just slide this up a little bit if you can. If you toggle down. Right. See? Forgive me. When we say someone is poor, it's not a term I use lightly. I'm not using it for shit. I'm not using it for shame or anything like that, but when you look at low income and not income, I don't want to confuse income with wealth, low wealth households, what do you see? They have far more physical assets than they have investments. Pensions not too bad, property is not too, obviously the first 30 people out of these 100 have no property wealth whatsoever. My point is, for showing you this, is wealth is what you don't see. Wealth isn't the cars, it's not even money in the bank account. To your point, when someone's wealthy, they have more assets. They have assets that generate income even whilst they're asleep. Can we go to the next one? I'm not going to spend any huge amount of time. This is just a different visualization of the same data, and this is now giving you the cumulative total. Can we go on to the next one, please? Now, okay, so this breaks wealth down into age. So this is the age of the household, or the head of the household in this case, right? And again, what you see here is very simple. Younger people don't have a lot of wealth, they don't have a lot of financial wealth. What do they have that the older people don't have? Energy, they have energy, I like it. They have energy.
Time.
They have time. But there's something I'm looking for. Sorry, by the way, on time, has anyone had that analogy? Warren Buffett, one of the richest men in the world, has a net worth today probably of $80 billion, something like that. Is in his 90s. Would you trade your life, your financial circumstances today for Warren Buffett? So in other words, in a twinkle of an eye, you will become 90 years old and you have all of that money. Would you? Right. So there's a point I'm trying to make here again. But in the UK, the wealthiest cohort of people are people in there between 55 and 65, and 55 and 75, and they have an average net worth. This is median net worth of around £500,000. So when you sum the value of their property, their pension, all their financial assets, it's £500,000 on average, right? And then it starts to decline later on in life because people spend the early part of their career building wealth, and when they get to 60, 65, thereabouts, they start to spend that asset down as they get older. The takeaway from this is your job, my job, is to convert time, energy, also known as human capital, into financial capital. A rich woman or man with no time isn't much better than a poor man or woman with a lot of time. Wealth is built over time. We have something in our culture, in the African culture, which is about, a lot of this is about, let's just make that money. Let's just, this instant gratification.
Breakthrough.
Instant breakthrough. Sorry, I don't want to, because I know Rev is here. I don't want to. Here's the alternative. So here's the wrap. Wealth is built one brick at a time, like Lego. One brick at a time. that pension contribution at work that you are not doing is wealth going down the drain. That ISA contribution that you started and cancelled is wealth being built over, that's wealth being missed. Elder knows this. We were both living in Basildon. We were both living together in Basildon. So my older daughter is 13 today. When we had Adorable, when we had our first daughter, we were so poor, people felt sorry for us. And people were giving us money. And I'm thinking, why are people giving us money? They must have felt really sorry for us. We did something then. We took all of this money that people had given us, I don't know, must be £500 worth of cash that people gave us. And I spent it, and then I had to make it back. And we set up a child ISA, a junior ISA for her. We started putting £50 a month into it, and then we changed it at some point to £100 a month. I could not remember us ever contributing more than £100 into this thing. And we put it into a mutual fund, into a globally diversified equity fund. Now, Adrobe is 13 today. Can you guess how much is in this account? Just guess. £20,000. My point is, £50 a month accumulated over a period of time becomes meaningful amount of money. So my point is, my point is wealth is built over time, not an overnight or instant thing. All right, okay, I don't want to give anybody heart attack or sadness. So this is median wealth by household median wealth by ethnicity in the UK. What jumps at you just looking at that?
Black Africa.
Black Africa, lowest.
A white household have 10 times, a median white household have 10 times the median wealth of a black household. You were talking about this on our way here. But again, the same is true for Indians. Indian household have 10 times on average, again, median, right? So we're not saying every white person is richer than every black person. That's not true. We're talking the median. So this is the middle person. We can take the wrong lesson from this, and just say, oh, the wealth is in the hands of, white people and they don't want to share it. I've read this type of interpretation. I think they're largely unhelpful and they don't help us in any way. What's more important, and there are factors, so age is one of them. So if you go to the next slide, you will see this. Income is one of them. Income is one of the reasons. So what I've done here is I've just broken down household income into 4 categories. You will see there at the top here, something like 50% of black households earn less than £30,000, £31,000. And then it declines. Only about 4% of black households earn £100,000 plus, versus about 8% of white and Indian families. So one of the reason is income. But the other reason is, this is where I'm going to, the other reason is time. So this is, if you look at ethnicity by age cohorts, what do you find? About a third of black people in the UK generally are children versus, say 20% of white families. And then as you go on through age, You have far less black people in their 60s and 70s and 80s than white people, and partly true for Asian. The point is this: we have a job, a task in our hands as men, as custodians of the future generation, to build wealth over time. That takes making conscious decisions today in terms of our earnings, in terms of our savings, the way we save, the way we invest, to build wealth for the next generation. Wealth building takes time. It takes deliberate, conscious effort. It doesn't happen by chance. It just takes conscious planning, and it takes a lot of hard work. Elder was talking about all the jobs that he's had to do to get to where. These days, he doesn't tell us where he is. These days, he's sitting down and collecting property rent and wealth and business assets. Sorry. One thing that's not included in this analysis of wealth is it doesn't factor in business wealth. It just factors in pensions, investment, property assets. It doesn't factor in business wealth. To sum it up, just I have more slides, but I'm not going to. So 3 things I want you to take away from this is real wealth is what you don't see. The pensions, the investment, the property assets, often not the property that you're living in, right? Property that generates income, including the property you're living in. That's part of wealth. The second point I try to make is wealth is built over time. Today's habits are a great predictor of your future net worth. Show me your bank statement over the last 6 months. I will give you a very, very, very good idea of what your net worth is going to be in 5 years' time. I believe in miracles. I do. And I have seen so many of these in my life. And the final point is a deliberate culture of wealth building. Just being careful, paying attention to your assets, your liability, your income, your outgoings, your investments, not only impacts you, but impacts the next generation, has a big impact on the next generation. And wealth, as much as even the UK is considered a more equal society than, say, the US and other parts of the world, for instance, wealth makes a massive difference on people's lifestyle. On how long people live, on health and longevity. Have you heard that statistics? They say if you get on the train at Westminster, for every stop you go east, life expectancy declines by 1 year.
Wow.
Now, start from Westminster. What happens by the time you get to Colchester? My point is, think of the challenge that we have as individuals, not just in terms of building wealth for ourselves and doing the best that we can, but also, and that has an impact on our health and our lifestyle, but also on the next generation. Thank you very much.